And this is where it gets really tricky for me. I feel good about myself that I haven't gotten Botox yet. I'm scared of opening up a new insecurity. Do I feel good about this choice, or do I feel superior because of it? Just like anyone, I am a person who has things that I feel really confident about and things that I feel really insecure about. And the interesting thing, something I always find kind of funny, maybe unfortunate, is how we can have one thing about ourselves that on some days we feel like $1,000,000, super confident, and on other days, not so much. One of those areas that I sometimes feel confident about and sometimes feel insecure about is my face. How is it some days that I can look at myself and think, wow, you're really pretty. You look really pretty today. You're just a pretty person. And then on other days, particularly when I accidentally open up my phone camera and look at myself from, this down below angle with the double chin and the crusty eye and yada, yada, and think that I'm quite frankly taken aback by the way I look. I feel like it'd be so much more convenient if we just had one stance about things like our face or something in our life. We had the stuff we're confident about, and then we had the stuff we're insecure about. Though maybe it's actually a gift. Maybe the mixed emotions towards different things in our life is a gift because it reminds us that nothing is permanent. Anyway, the face is what we're here to discuss today, because I think it's completely normal to have mixed feelings about your face, right? That's not like a novel concept. I'm not the only person who sometimes thinks that she looks pretty and sometimes thinks she looks like an absolute disaster. And the funny thing is, the stuff that I dislike about my face, there's a lot of solutions for that. There's tons of stuff on the market. I'm talking about Botox. I'm talking about filler. It is at my fingertips, and I could do it. Lots of people do it. There's nothing wrong with getting these things done, I think. Or is there? What I'm teasing out here are my very complicated feelings about Botox and filler and doing something to my face. And that's what I want to talk about in this episode, those complicated feelings, because I'm curious about why I haven't done it yet. Why haven't I done something about my face if there's something I don't like? Why haven't I addressed this line or this line? I'm pointing to my face now if you're not watching the episode. I got that line on my forehead. The lines. You've got them. Maybe you've got them in different places, but you know what I'm talking about. Have I not gotten Botox because I genuinely don't want to? Or are my motivations for not getting it kind of petty? That's what I want to talk about with you today. So let's get into it. So let me just start with where I'm at, where I'm coming to this conversation from. So what I've done to my face. So I have not gotten any Botox or filler yet. I haven't done any injections or plastic or anything to my face. I haven't gotten work done, you could say. But that doesn't mean that I don't do stuff to my face. I spend quite a bit of time and money on beauty and on the way I look. I get my hair colored. I get my hair colored probably once every 2 to 3 months. I get highlights. I started doing that. It's more than highlights. It's like a full, I go for 4 hours when I go. It's quite a big commitment. I've been doing that for the last few years. I get highlights. I get my haircut, which I know everybody gets their haircut, but I'm very particular. I'm very picky about the people that I see to do my different beauty treatments. So I get haircuts and I get facials. I'm already doing work. Do I want to call it work? I'm already doing stuff to my face. I get facials probably every 2 to 3 months as well. And I started getting facials pretty regularly back in college. I saw this woman named Bicky in college, Bicky, and she was wonderful. And I really like building relationships with the people who do my different aesthetic treatments. I think that probably stems from my grandma being a hairdresser. So I have so much respect for that type of work. And I'm probably I know that I will never have that relationship between me and a person I work with on different parts of my body and my appearance will never be what it was with my grandma, but I'm kind of looking for that type of connection. And my grandma worked with clients over many, many decades, right? She started doing some people's hair when they were 16, and then she ultimately did their grandchildren's hair. So I know that the bond you can have with somebody who works with you in that way can be long-lasting and can be deep. So I care about the relationship I have with the people I see. So I started getting those facials back in college. And then when I was in New York, I looked for somebody in New York and saw the same woman, Tony, for a while. We actually became friends. She was in her 50s, and I adored her. She kind of welcomed me into her. She had been friends with a couple of other young women who got facials, but I also just developed a one-on-one relationship with her. And Tony was just the best and really opened my eyes to so many different parts of New York that I wasn't really privy to. I had been to Chinatown, for example, but Tony grew up in Chinatown and had a lot of friends and family in Chinatown. And she'd take me to restaurants with her. There was one restaurant in particular, I'm blanking on the name. It was down on Mulberry Street. She had grown up on Elizabeth Street. New Yorkers, you'll know what I'm talking about. And she's friends with the chef. So she would take me and the two of us would go to the grocery store and pick up live lobster. We'd go and get really, fancy fishes and different types of things, bring it in, and the chef would cook that thing for us. He'd make a special based on what we brought in, but then they'd also just bring out tons and tons of food. And I loved getting to go and have dinner with her. And, they'd all be speaking their language and I didn't understand, but I also could understand. And there was this amazing, even though we didn't speak the same language, I could tell that they were trying to include me in the conversation and teaching me how to use the chopsticks correctly because I used them in the incorrect American way where they're still functional, but my hand placement wasn't correct. Anyway, my point in saying all of that is because yes, I would go get facials for somewhat vain reasons, but the meaning they brought to my life is so much more than vanity. They actually deepened some of my relationships and gave me new relationships. And in a time when we're in this loneliness epidemic, I do think that if you're gonna do beauty treatments and you're gonna get facials, try to find somebody, maybe not necessarily who you're going to become friends with. Maybe that was a rare case in my scenario, though I don't think it's impossible to have that. I'm rambling now about facials, but I wanted to just show why they're important to me and why I love them. But the other reason I started getting them in the first place was because I picked my face a lot. I was a beauty junkie for a long time. And I ruined my skin barrier by buying everything I saw online. I mean, this was before TikTok and really before skincare products were being pushed via social media the way they are now. But it was still everywhere. Content about skincare was still everywhere. Every product was going to be the holy grail fix to fix your skin, to get rid of your acne, etc. And I would buy all of it. And starting to get regular facials helped me feel more in control of my skin. And because I knew I was going to be getting a facial next month or something, back in New York, I was going once a month. It was a better price and whatever. Because I knew I was going so often, I felt less tempted to destroy my skin in the meantime because I knew Tony was going to take care of it. Similarly to how now in LA, I know Eileen is going to take care of it. Eileen is who I see. So facials in that way, yes, made my skin look better, but they also helped me curb some bad habits with overbuying products and picking my skin. But there's also just the vanity piece. And facials, out of all of the things I do, cut, color, facials are what make me feel my best. They're what make me feel my best. Now, the types of facials I get are I guess you could call them performance facials. They're not spa-like facials. I'm going in, we're doing extractions. Now I get something called a green peel, which has been the best thing for my face. Ask your dermatologist about it. I think it has been the thing that's transformed my skin the most at this point in my life and maybe ever. It's a mini chemical peel. It's a mini chemical peel, and it's basically like a really intense exfoliator is what it looks like. And it's all these crushed up herbs, and it feels kind of hard on the face. And she rubs it into my face like an exfoliant, and it hurts a little bit. Not going to lie. It hurts a little bit. We leave it on for maybe 10, 15 minutes or so. I don't know how long it actually is because we're talking whatever time is going by fast, but I believe that's about how long it is. We wipe it off, and then I don't wash my face for 24 hours. If you go look at not my last episode, but if you go look at the podcast episode, the Hello Hayes Guide to Giving Advice, I had just gotten the green peel the day before, and I hadn't washed my face yet. So if you look at how red my face is, you can sort of see what it looks like in the 24 hours after. My face gets really red right away, and it's pretty sensitive to the touch. But then after I wash it over the next 2 to 3 days, I think my skin looks like what I imagine Botox does. I feel snatched. I feel smooth. I feel clear. And I have no issues with my skin in the weeks after I get it. But then, of course, it fades and I need to get it again, which is fine. That's what skin maintenance is. But I mentioned all of the stuff that I do about my face, and I didn't even get into my skincare routine. I mention all of that because I care a lot about beauty. I feel complicated things about Botox, which I'll get into in a second. But it's not like I'm a person who doesn't care about beauty. I care about the way I look. I take care of the way I look. I put a lot of time and money into the way I look. And yet I haven't crossed that threshold into getting Botox. And I've kind of been curious about why. Part of it, I think, is laziness. My life feels really busy and full right now. And sometimes I struggle with, there's like probably a term for this, like appointment fatigue, or like it feels at times like my to-do list is never ending. And the thought of adding one other thing that's kind of serious to it, or like that I want to put effort into figuring out, feels really overwhelming. Like, can I really add another appointment? Can I really add another thing I have to research? So part of it is that, which maybe laziness isn't actually the kind word, but like, I don't know if I have the time. Part of it is the expense. Botox is expensive. And because I know I'm picky, as I think you should be picky about injecting something into your skin, into your face, I know that I probably wouldn't be going an inexpensive route. I'm sure there are people who are great at Botox that are more affordable, but I know myself, and I would probably, if I was going to do it, I'd be looking for the best that I could get within a general price range. And that's expensive. I'm already getting my hair colored, my hair cut, and I'm already getting facials. I can't afford to do it all. So I'd have to cut something. And I'm already actually thinking about changing the way I do my hair because I'm not loving how much time and money I'm putting towards my hair right now. So I'd have to adjust some of the spending. Like, do I really want to add another expense into my life? But outside of the laziness and the expense, I also think I haven't gotten Botox because of pride. And this is where it gets really tricky for me. I feel good about myself that I haven't gotten Botox yet, which sounds fine on paper, but when I examine it more closely, is this actually a good feeling or is it kind of an icky one? Do I feel good about this choice or do I feel superior because of it? Is my stance on I haven't gotten Botox yet, is it similar to those people who say that they don't drink soda? Or no, I just haven't downloaded TikTok yet, where it's like, cool, good for you. And maybe it was a good thing, but they're ultimately touting it like a flex. I don't think I'm doing that in my conversations when it's come up with other people about how I haven't gotten Botox yet, because it has come up sometimes. Like, I'm 32 with lots of female friends, and I'm sure, maybe I'm curious if I have any male listeners, if this conversation about Botox and getting work done on your face comes up in your conversations too, or if it doesn't, what is your version of this? But in a lot of my friendships, like, we're talking about the way we look and Botox comes up. And sometimes I mention that I haven't done it, but then sometimes I don't mention it because I think it might sound obnoxious. But if someone asks, I say I haven't and whatever. I don't think I'm outwardly doing it as a flex, but maybe internally I am. And I don't want to be somebody who uses my restraint, I guess, as a way to feel better than other people, or as a way to feel better about myself because I think I'm better than other people. That doesn't feel like me. And even when something doesn't feel like you, right? Like, even as a person who doesn't want to do that, there are ways that we can all start slipping into that. Like, oh, I'm better than this person because of this type of mindset. I don't want to participate in this like silent competition that nobody cares about. And that's certainly not the energy. I don't want to bring that competitive energy into any decisions I make about my face and the way I look. Not how I want to live. But that quiet pride has been there, that feeling like I'm proving a point. So I want to peel it back. And if I peel back that pride, what is actually left? What are my actual feelings about getting Botox for me personally? So now I want to talk about what's pulling me towards it in a very honest way, and then what is still holding me back. And maybe by the end of that, we'll be able to decouple what is my mishigas and competitive nature that I need to kind of get rid of because it's toxic and ugly, and what's real. So the temptation. I mean, obviously, it is tempting to do things that you think are going to make you look better naturally. I will say that I am a person who does not wear a lot of makeup. I don't like the way I look in makeup. And I think part of that is because I don't really know how to do my makeup. Even I put a little bit of makeup on for this episode, which maybe is kind of ironic. I was looking really tired, ghastly this morning. So I put on a little bit of concealer, and unfortunately the concealer was like 2 shades too light. So then I was trying to use a little bit of cream bronzer, and I went and sat outside and looked at the sun for a few minutes to hopefully make my face look a little more normal. Who knows if that actually worked. But I don't wear a lot of makeup. And because of that, I do feel better when sort of my natural features, I feel better when my skin looks better, right? Why am I trying to make this so complicated? I feel better about myself when my skin looks better. And Botox could be a way for me to continue to feel confident with my natural face. What I understand about Botox is, yes, it like gets rid of some of those fine lines, wrinkles, whatever, but it also like brightens you up. I could use some brightening. I look tired. I'm stressed. Like, yeah, will it make me look like I've just drank 7 different Stanley cups of water? I'm down for that. Another temptation is that it just doesn't seem like a big deal all that time. Like nearly everybody I know has Botox and they don't look any different. They just look like tight and snatched and, I don't know, energized. They look energized. And that is kind of tempting. And then as far as temptation goes, there's the internet part. Now, being on the internet, making content with my face, and even if you're not on the internet, but if you used your face at all in your work or in your hobby, you'll understand this. I spend a lot of time looking at my face. And I mean, when I started making content, I don't think I quite realized how intense that was going to be. It was definitely a steep learning curve at first. Because I understood intellectually that I'd be like editing videos looking at my face, but I didn't really understand what that was going to feel like. And when you're looking at yourself for that many hours, you start to notice things about your face and your voice that maybe you didn't notice before. For example, I've noticed that one of my eyebrows is more arched and I kind of have like one of my eyes is kind of lazy. I've noticed this way that my mouth like turns down naturally. Did it always do that? Maybe, I'm not sure, but I've noticed it now. Now, I don't obsess about these things. I've worked really hard in my life to not obsess about the way I look and to not let it bother me too much. So it's not like, it's not like woe is me a problem or anything like that, but I notice these things because I'm looking at myself so much. I think I have some good distance from it. If I want to be successful with the work I do, I have to depersonalize a little bit. I can't get upset every time I look at myself and don't like the way I look. So I've done a good job. Actually, let's pat myself on the back. I've done a really good job of not allowing the way I look to drive too many of my decisions about Hello Haze and the stuff I make. Thank God. But Botox, going to see a specialist, maybe they could help make my face look a little more symmetrical. And since I don't wear that much makeup, I am showing up naturally most of the time, or I'm pretty much always showing up naturally, but, very natural, all natural completely, or with a little bit of makeup, maybe those things would help me feel more confident. Maybe they'd make me look better. Would they make my business do better? I mean, I don't even want to go down that line of thinking, but those are some of the temptations, right? Those are the very real temptations. But then I have a whole lot of hesitations. There's the expense, which I already told you about, and I don't need to get into more. And then there's just the slippery slope nature of it all, which is if I start getting Botox, then I'm going to get used to the way I look with Botox, and what am I going to want next? I even felt this way back when my friends started to do fake eyelashes. My friends looked gorgeous with fake eyelashes. They look gorgeous with fake eyelashes, and I was concerned that I would think I look gorgeous with fake eyelashes. And then suddenly, I wouldn't like the way I look without the fake eyelashes. And that's my issue with doing so much makeup too. I've worked so hard to feel comfortable, dare I say confident, with the way I naturally am. And there are constantly threats. There are constantly things at play, things at force, little goblins that want to come in. I feel like I've been talking about goblins a lot recently. What is with me and goblins? Anyway, things that are trying to come in and sabotage that. And I worry that Botox will be one of those things. At the same time, though, those forces, those threats at play have already begun to saturate my mind, right? The fine lines and wrinkles are already doing that. So devil's advocate coming in already, who maybe Botox would help with those things that are at play, right? Maybe they would curb, maybe they would tame some of those little aging goblins. But I'm scared of what getting Botox will lead to, even with going blonde. I mean, you hear people say, what is it? Blonde blindness or eyebrow blindness. I don't want to become blind to what I'm doing to my face. And of course, I could see the right people who wouldn't let that happen. I have my husband who has his own feelings about this. He wouldn't let that happen. But I still feel concerned about that. And that slippery slope, I mean, it's really all about, and I guess this is the main concern of how will getting Botox change my relationship with my face and with my self-acceptance in general. I feel really protective over that relationship, which I've put a lot of time and effort into stabilizing and turning it into a relationship that is close to love. I don't know if anybody ever, I don't know how possible it is to truly 100% all the time love yourself. Think you're a knockout. Think, see yourself through the eyes of somebody who adores and wants you. I don't even know if that's the point, but I have gotten to a place where I most of the time feel good about myself, the way I look. Neutral maybe, and neutral can be good. God, does that sound sad when I say that? I think it's just the truth. Sometimes I think I am gorgeous. Sometimes I think I'm beautiful, right? And I hope that everybody has moments in their life where they feel that. But then sometimes those thoughts come in where I see myself and I'm like, damn, who did you think you were to think that you were beautiful? You're not beautiful. And I've learned, I'm proud of the work I've done to shut that down. And then I usually just close, like if I accidentally saw myself on my phone, I'll just close the phone down or I'll stop looking in the mirror. I shut the behavior down and I worry about how starting to do things like Botox will interfere with that work. And maybe that's irrational, but I guess I'm kind of scared of that. I'm scared of like opening up a new insecurity. Another hesitation has to do with the morality of it. Now, I am not like the moral police. I think I am morally a good person, but morality is not something, I don't know, it's not something that I think about all that often. Maybe it's because I do believe that I'm a moral person and make moral choices. This came up in a conversation with someone over coffee recently when she asked me, like, how often are you thinking about morals? And that specific line, like, is not actually top of mind for me, or maybe it's just not in that wording or that phrasing. I think a lot about kindness and being helpful, and maybe I do think about morals. Maybe that word itself just doesn't really resonate with me. I don't know, but I have been thinking about the morality of Botox, and maybe, who knows, maybe this will make me start thinking about morals as a term more specifically. But there's this line of like, I feel like there's one rhetoric, which is like, if there's something you're insecure about and you can fix it, you should fix it. You should do anything in your reach that will make you feel better about yourself. But I'm like, should we? Like, or should we be challenging that idea? Should we be challenging the idea that we have to, that if there's a way to fix it, we should, especially when it comes to body image and beauty and some of these norms that have been shoved down our throat? Like, maybe I shouldn't be doing anything to address this line on my forehead. Even if doing something will make me feel better about myself, is there something morally wrong with that? I don't know, because on one hand, I do feel like if it's accessible to you and it makes you feel more confident, you should absolutely go for it, right? I already do that in my own life. And if I choose to get Botox, like that's the stance I'll probably take. But on the other hand, I just don't know if I fully buy that my choices don't matter, especially with something as invisible as Botox and filler can be. Like when someone looks at my face and doesn't know whether I've had something done and thinks that I look a certain way because I'm just lucky when I actually have done these things to my face, I don't know. I have conflicting feelings about that. And not every conversation, right? And of course I could be forthcoming and say, hey, I've gotten Botox, especially with my role as like a, public-ish figure. I could tell you that I've gotten Botox, but I'm not going to make a comment. I'm not going to make a disclaimer about how I have Botox on every single piece of content I make. That would be ridiculous. And I know that I've been influenced by looking at other people who probably have gotten work done and think that they're just like stunning and flawless, and I compare myself to them. And I worry about the impact that has on young people. I care a lot about that. That's part of the reason why when I first started making content, I made the decision to not doll myself up all that much. I also made that decision. I make that sound so altruistic. Let me peel that back a little bit. I think the dominating motivator behind that is because I didn't think it would be sustainable for me, because in my natural real life, I don't wear a lot of makeup. I never have. I've always enjoyed focusing on how I look and putting together outfits and getting dressed, but I've never been a big makeup person. So I didn't think it would be sustainable for me to suddenly start putting on a full face every time I make a video. The reason behind that, which maybe is like the more, on brand thing to say, is that I do care. I do want to be realistic, right? And I'm not saying that as like I'm the most beautiful person in the world. I don't want to promote unrealistic beauty standards because I'm so unrealistically beautiful. I don't think that. I wanted to be a person who shows up authentically as me. I think that's very aligned with the Hello Haze mission of helping others feel seen and being seen myself. And if I want to be seen, I want to be seen for the real me that I am, which sometimes has, acne marks on her neck and sometimes looks tired and sometimes her hair isn't done. Okay, a lot of the time her hair isn't done. You know what I'm saying. And I like to think that one of the impacts that I have that's interesting. I was going to say, I'd like to think that one of the impact I have is that I'm showing people that maybe they can show up as their real natural self. But then do I want my impact to at all be about the way I look? No, I want it to be about more than that, but I can't separate the way I look from the work I do. It's complicated, isn't it? It's a really complicated topic. Is not getting Botox a way to resist beauty standards? Like, is that an important way for me to put my stake in the ground? Or by questioning it, am I just romanticizing a version of myself that's like above it all? When really I'm not. I'm right in there in the muck with everybody else. So maybe the real question is not, should I get Botox? But it's, why do I care so much about what that choice says about me? Why do I want to be the kind of person who either does get Botox or doesn't get Botox? And is there something empowering maybe about being somewhere in the middle? Being a person who does get Botox but does X, Y, and Z to kind of counteract it? Is that even possible? Like, is it possible to be a middle ground, or is this one of those topics where you need to take a stand? I don't have a clear answer. I don't want to be the kind of person, though, that's like clinging to natural beauty as some sort of moral purity. So I don't have a clear answer. I might get Botox. I might not. I will tell you if I do. But I think the fact that I'm interrogating it this much right now says a lot about what it is to be a person with a face at this moment. In general, you guys know I try to be a person who makes choices from a place of confidence. Never fear, never ego, never pressure. Maybe not never, but I try to avoid those things and course correct when I notice that I have made decisions from those places. So I'm just going to keep asking these questions and try to be honest with myself as the answers inevitably change. I'm so curious to hear what your thoughts are on this topic and how old you are, if you don't mind me asking. Like, I'm curious what my younger listeners, and I guess when I say younger, I just mean younger than me, and I'm 32, and then what my older listeners are. I feel so lucky to have such a wide range of ages listening to this show and reading my work, and I'm curious what you think and maybe how your perspective has changed through this episode, but even more than that, like in your life. Yeah. Thanks for listening to me today. I hope something in there was interesting for you. This has really just been on my mind a lot lately, and I want to do more of bringing what's on my mind into this show and having a conversation with you about it. So I'll see you next Tuesday. Ooh, see you next Tuesday. I just realized, what that stands for. Well, I'll see you then. That's when the show drops. You can find me on Instagram in the meantime at AFHayes, and follow the pod wherever you get your podcasts, on YouTube, Spotify, wherever. And I love you, and I'll see you then. Before you go, if you like this episode, may I recommend this one, all about confronting ugly feelings in our lives. It's an advice column episode with 3 different letters about those feelings. The first is from someone who's struggling to deal with their ex-best friend's success. The second is from a woman navigating a miscarriage while also dealing with her cousin's exciting pregnancy. And the third is from a bride-to-be who suddenly is not so happy with her engagement ring. It's a great episode with tons of insights, even if those situations don't relate to you. Or you can just watch what YouTube recommends for you. They always have good recommendations. Okay, I'll see you soon. Mwah!